Dallas. Raise your hand if you're from Dallas. It is a room full of imports. So, being that it's a room full of imports, for you to have relationship with aunts and uncles, you also have to have proximity,
Yep.
right? So that's the thing that I think is very much different. Just hearing all these stories is, I was so close to my uncles and aunts, I would end up being at their house on a weekend by accident. But then I am the kid who graduated college and never went back home. And now, and when I moved to Dallas, one of my biggest efforts was to get my family close. So all of my immediate family, because the only way for me to replicate what I had was to have proximity.
Yeah.
And so I think of the way we live today, some of our success also becomes a shortcoming. Some of our success, our ability to move around the world, not be in close proximity to the people, and probably run away from some of the trauma that come along with being close to family.
Attention, player haters and overrated disbelievers of all kinds. I stand before you today 10 toes down as the bearer of bad news. Y'all done fucked up.
What's happening, man? Merry Christmas and all that. This happened to the black community too. Like sometimes people talk about the culture and the black family and the changes that how it evolves and how it's different than it used to be, right? What they're talking about is that moving. See, I went to college in 97, 1997, and my cousin went to college in 88, 88. And I'm going to just use that time period to say it this way. From that to the 2000s, I heard people say, like, I'm the first person in my family to go to college or to graduate college, that type of thing. So people forget how many people moved. You know, when they talk about back in the day, like the Great Migration, like Jim Crow, people went from the South to Chicago, Detroit, Oakland, L.A., um, Philly, you know, like Louisville's still southern, really, but Ohio. Let's just do that. Let's just say the Midwest, the East Coast, and the West Coast. How about that? People moved, and families were still kind of connected because you would have your family in town. So if you were born in the city, you would have a bunch of family members in the city. So when people go, man, it used to be different back in the days because you were closer to family then. A lot of y'all don't grow up with as many cousins nowadays because, and a lot of y'all don't realize the part of, let's just say, uh, the single life or the gender war, whatever, all of that, or the single parent thing. It's not really the single parent thing because I can't blame it on the single parent thing because even in the 80s, 90s, when I was a kid, you had single parents, but both sides of the family would be involved. So I would say that alienation part, when you alienate one side of the family, that caused the problem. But the fact of the matter was everybody moved. And not just everybody moved because I remember if somebody moved, there came a time where it's like, yo, such and such is out there, so you can go out there. That's what changed. You got different, you know. And sometimes you move to a city with your family members, and sometimes you hung out with them a lot, and sometimes you didn't. So we're not gonna act like that didn't exist, right? I've done both. I've met my family, and I had family in Baton Rouge when I was going to Southern. I rarely saw them. I saw them a couple of times. No, they were really cool people, really good people actually. It was just my schedule just wasn't the best, so I didn't have time to. Um, but at the same time, how can I say this? I have family in Chicago. I have family in the DMV. You get what I'm saying? family in New Orleans. I was born in New Orleans, but you wind up getting out of touch because say, okay, this kid graduated and they moved to Phoenix. Ain't nobody going to Phoenix. Or I'm moving to get away from the family and never come back. And it's like, and then they have kids, and it's like, why you don't know all your family members? Because sometimes you wanted to go start a new life somewhere, and you forgot, like, if I start a new life somewhere, dang, I'm gonna actually start a new life somewhere. And if I'm like, got my family at a distance, then the family that I create is gonna be, not be in touch with the family. And people have this thing where even with that, they're like, yo, how come you don't come visit the kids, the grandkids, and all this? And it's like, yo, bro, you left. They didn't, right? So now because you left, now you want people to uproot their lives and help you have the extended family experience where you moved to when you never, well, I ain't gonna say never, when sometimes you didn't want to be around your family initially. You get what I'm saying? And then, that's a whole nother thing. Single life, nightlife, that's a whole nother thing where you seeing a lot of young folks on social media, young black folks on social media, talking about how their city has changed because of all the people who moved in. Atlanta ain't the same. Houston ain't the same. Dallas ain't the same. You get what I'm saying? Miami ain't the same. New Orleans ain't the same because New Orleans changed after Katrina. You know, Chicago ain't the same because a lot of people. Because sometimes it's not the same because so many people left, and it's not the same because so many people came. So it just the whole vibe of the city, what everybody loved it for, it shrinks because you have less of that experience because you have less of those people, and then you have people who are from different places who move to other places and they want to bring their culture to this other place, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, then it's like, whoa, just say that's your culture here. Don't try to take over our culture just because y'all came here. No, we're not doing it. And that causes an issue. Then it's the whole thing when I would talk about how I see young adults talking about that, like, man, what are unks? And when I grew up, they had the barbecues and the get-togethers, and I've said it before. I'm like, yeah, that's your job now. That's you. See, the unks you talk about was like 25 to 30, maybe 40. Right now you 30, like now you 28, let's just say you 25 to 35, and you still looking for Unc to do it. It's like, no, you supposed to be doing it. Yeah, you supposed to be doing the barbecues. You supposed to be part of the family, bring the family get together. Just you're supposed to be doing that now. You're supposed to pass down the traditions that were taught to you. And that's another thing that gets lost in this, because sometimes when you go to start a new life in a new place, you don't have nobody to pass down the traditions with per se. You get what I'm saying? You don't have anybody to even interact sometimes with the culture per se. You get what I'm saying? So, because it's a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is sometimes when you go places, you meet new people, you become friends with new people. They all from different places. That's a way to relate, because, like, oh, okay, I learned about this place, I learned about that place. This is how they do it here. This is how they do it there. So if you ever were to go places, you kind of, you could say somebody from here, let me know you know how to move and how to get down, and what to look for, and what the vibe that this place is. But what wind up happening, less and less people uh, have that experience, because less and less people go back home. And sometimes part of going back home, when you're losing the culture, you might be in your new place, and you forgot your old customs, and then you go, man, I wish I could do this. And it's like, yeah, you could still do that. You just don't. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm in Houston, right? I was born in New Orleans, but I'm long removed from New Orleans. I'm long removed from Chicago, shoot. But I missed the second line. Ain't no second line here. Ain't no second line here. Uh, Also, in Chicago, I miss the steppers culture. Love that. Like, I love that part of Chicago. But big cities like Houston, they have a piece of this city has a piece of everything though. I got Chicago stuff here. Ironically, that's just coming out here, but you got New Orleans stuff. They got stuff from other places. It's cool. But a lot of times, from when I was a young adult to now, I realized what happened with a lot of people was, you know, they don't have the family experience because they moved away from family. And it's hard to recreate the family experience with friends, even your closest friends, because your closest friends at some time is going to create a family of their own too. And you're grown. So guess what? Sometimes you're gonna look out for each other, just because you cool like that. And sometimes y'all grown life takes y'all apart, even if y'all tight. You get what I'm saying? So that is a whole aspect. So you can't necessarily you got to learn how to be proactive in when you're in a new place and you got to build a new life and create a new family. Because even some of the some of the family may move, right? Even if you start first somewhere else, or sometimes your friends may move, or you may be the friend that moves because new opportunity, new jobs, and you starting all over. So that happened to the culture too. You know what I mean? That definitely happened to the culture, and people like, man, because that's why people like, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. And it's like, yeah, it's hard to recreate that if you left it, and when I say left it, I'm saying you didn't even decide to bring it with you where you was at, but you long for it. Man, what happened to the spades and the domino, bro? You got to create that. What happened to the movie nights and the sleepovers and being over your aunts and the uncle's house and the kids coming over and playing video games? What happened to that? You know, it, you got to create that. But it's so many people so spread out. It's an event now instead of a normal thing that people was doing. You get what I'm saying? So I'm gonna leave it at that. Tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. What? Forgot one part. This is why people don't ask where your family from as much anymore. Because people used to want to make sure you wasn't dating your relatives when all the family stayed in one city. Now when everybody's all over the place, you know, you don't that don't even come up for people. So some of the questions of courting questions, dating questions, family questions, less of that comes up because everybody's all over the place. So, and I can't introduce you to my family because they don't live here, and you can't bring me around yours because they don't live here either. Like that type of situation. But all right, now I'm done. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.